After their somewhat unexpected offseason, the Golden State Warriors will be heading into the 2022 season with nothing short of increased expectations compared to last year. Over the past few years, this team has faced a large amount of injuries that have taken them out of contention, but now they will be looking to bounce back and make some noise around the league. But how? I mean, sure, many including myself believe that this Warriors team will be better this season because of Klay Thompson returning, and new additions in Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and free agents such as Otto Porter and Bielitsa. But despite the popular opinion, this Warriors team will still have to make a few additional things happen if they want to be a legitimate playoff team and contender. And no, it's not trades, it's things on their roster, because in my eyes, they have what they need at the very minimum to make a solid playoff appearance, let alone contend. Today, we have to talk Golden State Warriors, and in particular, taking a look at 3 things that need to happen internally for this team if they want to have the most amount of success possible this season. But before we get into all of that, if you've been enjoying the videos lately, it would be absolutely clutch if you subscribed if you're new and join the Woods crew. We are trying to get past the 10,000 subscriber milestone before the next NBA season begins on October 19th. And despite it being September now, we can still hit that goal if everyone who watches the content consistently hits that subscribe button. So if you get any value or entertainment out of the Woods Hoops channel, join the community and drop a sub. But with that being said, let's get back to the Golden State Warriors. As you all know, after their far from perfect season, the Warriors were able to snag 2 first-round picks in the lottery, stealing the number 7 from my Timberwolves, and having the number 14 from their own regular season struggle. At the time, many believed this team would be trading these picks for a star, after it was reported by multiple reputable sources that the big 3 of this team in Steph, Klay, and Draymond were, quote, pushing this team to make a big trade. But despite all the offseason chatter, the Warriors went ahead and drafted Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody with their picks. Now, is this because at the time Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal didn't demand trades? Well, we won't ever know that for sure. But one thing was clear, the Golden State Warriors didn't have any offers they liked that were given. If you didn't know, there were actually quite a few teams that tried to steal away this team's assets for a star. The biggest trade package was revolving around Ben Simmons that the Warriors swiftly rejected and didn't negotiate any further. But enough of the trade talks, because now we are approaching the regular season, and this team has the roster they have, and likely won't be making any trades unless someone big wants out from their team. With that being said, the Warriors have made it clear they are trying to win now despite their immense amount of young talents, because they have Steph Curry, and well, when you have someone that good on your team, it's a waste not trying to win at all. But even though this team didn't make a blockbuster trade, I believe they still have what they need to be a great playoff team at the very minimum. This Warriors roster is full of versatile players that could mesh well together if things go accordingly. I mean, Steph and Klay in itself is good enough for the playoffs, not to mention they have 2 very elite defenders in Draymond and Wiggins who are great from the wing. And pair that with a handful of young players with the potential of stardom, and this team is in a very interesting position potential-wise for the upcoming season. Despite the popular opinion that the Nets and Lakers will be in the finals next year guaranteed, I just can't help but remember what happened with these teams last year, and the fact is, the Warriors could surprise everyone or even upset teams that are ranked ahead of them. But what needs to happen for this team if they want to win at the highest level beyond just getting back in the playoffs? In reality, at this very moment, it's hard to say what the Warriors will need to fix because we've yet to see this team play together. But going off from what we saw last season and during the Summer League recently, there are 3 things that if changed could very well make this Warriors one of the best teams in the West and, well, in the entire league. And this starts out with the man in the thumbnail, Draymond Green. During the Warriors dynasty, Draymond has been known for his elite defense and IQ on the floor for this team. Sure, he was an offensive liability at times, but at the time, the Warriors roster consisted of Steph, Klay, and KD, so no big deal. That is, until now. Last season, there was a glaring issue with Draymond's game when he was relied on as one of the top 3 options for the team, that being his lack of a jump shot that we've known about for years. I'm not usually one to meme on Draymond, but if Draymond's able to fix his jump shot and become a threat from the perimeter, this will open up the Warriors offense in a big way and lead to a lot more wins. Now, normally I would say that something like this is unrealistic because, well, Draymond hasn't really improved as a shooter in recent years. But after an interview where Green himself said that he'd be improving his jump shots, I had to add it to this list because this could help the team in a big way. Getting Klay back this season will already help this issue because he's another scoring option that makes doubling Curry even tougher. But even then, if Draymond can just be left open at the 3-point line, this will make Steph and Klay's job a lot harder night in and night out. All I have to say is that Draymond with a jumper would be dangerous. Even if he can shoot around 33 to 35%, this would be enough to not allow teams to abandon him, which would make the Warriors' signature offense flow much better. With a perimeter shot, Draymond would have the ability to be versatile and get to the rack more often or kick it back out to one of the splash bros in the case that the defense fails to close out on him. And if they leave him open for 3, well, that's an easy bucket that he can knock down. Bob Myers and Steve Kerr themselves said that getting Draymond shot better was one of their biggest priorities going into the next season. So there's no doubt in my mind this issue's already fixed, and the Warriors will be a lot better next season. Green averaged averaged more rebounds and assists than points per game last year, so it will most definitely be crucial for him to get confidence and consistency if this team wants to make a postseason run. Draymond isn't the only one who needs to improve though, because if this Warriors team wants to contend, they will also need to get a lot out of their young talents, in particular James Wiseman and Jonathan Kuminga. It was noticeable last year that James Wiseman was pretty much a raw prospect out of high school that didn't even get a summer league to play in, but after an offseason with an elite training staff, the Warriors are hoping the big man can take a leap in his second year and play a solid role for this team. Don't get me wrong here, Wiseman showed flashes of being a monster last year, with ferocious dunks and blocks, stretching the floor with his 3-ball, and handling the ball somewhat solid as well. But if this Warriors team wants to compete with the best of the best, they need a consistent big man they can rely on. Half of the need here is just for James Wiseman to stay healthy, and if he can play 82 games starting for this Warriors team, that in itself is a win. But skills wise, if Wiseman is able to ball out along with Draymond's improvement, the Warriors might just have moved to contending status. Wiseman's improvement for this team must start on the defensive end of the ball, because the Warriors play at their best when they have a classic bruiser big man that can protect the rim, and Wiseman has the frame to be this guy, so there's no reason he's not capable of doing this for the franchise. Don't get it twisted here, because the blocking ability was there for Wiseman, being that he almost averaged 1 block a game. The issue here is the fouls that he committed, and well, the stats don't lie. Courtesy of Blue Man Hoop, last year with the Warriors, James Wiseman played an average of 21 minutes per game and racked up 3.1 fouls in this time. This means that if Wiseman were to get starting caliber minutes for the Warriors, he would likely foul out every single game, which is not something a team that is in search of a consistent big man is looking for. This will come with experience, but Wiseman needs to know when to be ultra aggressive and go for a big block, because when he does it in a bad position, he gets called for a foul almost every single time. Aside from that, even though defense is the biggest must from Wiseman, the Warriors would also obviously benefit from an increased offensive production as well, and if Wiseman can shoot the ball at a very solid rate from beyond the arc, this team will be in very good position for the postseason. The bottom line is, the West is stacked with guys like Jokic, Anthony Davis, and more, and if the Dubs want a chance at winning, they need someone who can put a body on these guys without fouling out in 25 minutes of play. Even if Wiseman doesn't develop accordingly this year, that's okay, because more often than not, it takes a lot longer for big men than anticipated. But this doesn't mean the Warriors still can't win at the highest level still, because they have some other guys up their sleeve that could have a big impact if they're able to take a leap as a rookie, one of those players being Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga was one of the more interesting players in the draft last year, being that he had a ton of potential, but like Wiseman last year, he was very raw and clearly needed time to develop. Nonetheless, it was very clear after watching the summer league that Jonathan Kuminga has star potential. Between aggressive drives to the rack and flashes of being elite on the defensive end of the ball, Kuminga really showed us a little bit of everything, and if he can have an instant impact, the Warriors can become even better as a team. In my eyes, for this roster, it's going to be all about role players stepping up. This team already has their stars, they just need a great core that can play around them, and if Kuminga takes advantage of his opportunity, he could do just that. The Warriors made it clear they don't need Kuminga to win now, but if he is ready, they would obviously use him. So if the rookie's able to have a breakout first season on both sides of the ball, the Warriors could have a stud coming off the bench, which would definitely give them the ideal postseason depth they need. Despite the Warriors not making any big trades, in my eyes, they still have a very good chance at surprising everyone this season. But where do others project they'll be in the standings by the end of next year? This is where things get, well, interesting, because despite having a mostly young core, a lot of analysts are high on the Warriors going to the new year. Looking into the top articles that come up when power rankings and championship odds are searched, the results and odds that reputable sources are giving out make me think they know something we don't. According to one of the largest sports betting sites, BetGM, and multiple other platforms that are just as reputable, the Golden State Warriors have the 4th best odds at winning it all next year, tied with the Utah Jazz, and lingering only behind the Nets, Lakers, and Bucks. Now, take this with a grain of salt because this is just a prediction, and last season, no one saw the Suns making the finals, but here we are. But according to these odds, the Golden State Warriors are projected to be better than teams like the 76ers, Clippers, Nuggets, Hawks, Heat, and more similar teams. This isn't where it ends though, because on average, across multiple sites such as the NBA, CBS, and more, the projected wins for this Warriors team is 49.2, which is very solid to say the least. These aren't just fanboys creating these predictions and odds either, these are legitimate authors that are respected in their field, and it's clear that the expectations are very high for this Dubs team going into next season, and all I have to say is I cannot wait to see this team's stars and young talent play together, and more importantly, potentially win at the highest level. If Green, Wiseman, and Kuminga are able to do what I mentioned, there is no doubt in my mind, this team will be great. As far as how great, well, we'll have to see, but for now, I'll leave it at that. If you enjoyed this video, it would be greatly appreciated if you hit that subscribe button below because it helps the channel a lot more than you think. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching, I'll catch you on the next one, Woods out.